Have you ever considered going full-time in an RV? Do you get tired of the same old commute, the same job, the same house, the same everything?
You ever wonder what could be? What could I be seeing? What could I be doing? What could I be experiencing in life? Well, we did too, and this is our story. Hi, I'm Garrett.
And I'm Christy.
We started traveling in 2020 with the goal to find adventure all over the USA.
We plan to keep doing this until we don't want to do it any longer.
So back in 2015, I used to watch a lot of YouTube, and these RV videos started popping up, like Gone with the Winds and RV Geeks, Technomadia, eventually like KYD and Enjoy Your Journey, and
Less Junk, More Journey.
And we watched these and we're like, oh, this would be really cool to do. But there was no way we were going to do it. Christy had a job at UPS. You were there many, many years,
30
right?
years.
And it was just something that we figured we couldn't do until we retired, because she had just been there so long. There was no way to leave and lose your retirement. So for many years, this was just a dream for us. But this all changed in 2019. Christy came home very upset that she had actually gotten laid off after 30 years with UPS, right?
Right.
And the shock of this was just terrible. They outsourced her whole department to Guatemala for a bunch of $8 an hour workers. And it had to be horrible, especially for people that didn't have a lot of years in. But what was bad for a lot of people actually turned into something good for us, because Christy got a nice severance package and suddenly she was no longer tied to UPS.
Yeah, I'm not stuck anymore, so we should hit the road.
Yeah, we were free to do the RV thing, and after watching these videos for all these years, got us excited. Let's make this a reality. So this started in 2019, and now at the end of 2020, we have finally made it happen. We realized we could actually do this, and we set our goal to be roughly a year and a half, 2 years to hit the road. And the way we started was figuring out what kind of RV would even work for us, because we felt that this would be such a big purchase that we'd rather take our time and find something that would fit us well, so we didn't have to immediately go into something else, but still have a good RV. And when we first started looking, we were overwhelmed by the choices. We thought one day we could be in a motorhome, and then the next, like a fifth wheel,
Travel trailer.
or a Airstream, and it was just all over the place. So what made it easier for us to filter our thinking, and I think would make it easier for anybody, is write down a list of the things that you actually want in an RV.
That's what we did.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we did. And the main thing was we were downsizing from a 2,800 square foot house, and it was a lot of things. We had a lot of stuff on there, but I really didn't want to buy a storage unit and store any furniture, anything. I didn't want, it didn't make sense that we'd spend that money every month.
No.
And then 3-5 years or whenever we stop RVing, come back and go, oh, why did we pay for this storage all these years for a bunch of old furniture that we could have just bought again?
That's right.
So yeah, and that kind of drove our decision. As much as anything, we wanted to be able to fit everything we own, with the exceptions of a few keepsakes that stayed with family, into whatever we purchased.
And he's got a lot of tools, so let me tell you.
Yeah, I do have a lot of tools, and that actually isn't even on our list of must-haves, but it probably should have been. So kind of going down the list of must-haves, the first thing was the beds. We wanted a king bed.
Absolutely.
We were in a house with a standard king bed, and it was nice. and we like having the space.
Yeah.
And we know that RV beds are smaller for a given size already.
Right.
So a queen RV bed sounds terrible to us. So we wanted a king bed, which immediately took out most Airstreams, most small trailers, that sort of thing, and pushed us kind of toward either a big fifth wheel or a motorhome, right?
Right.
And the next thing was the TV layout. So Christy likes to watch a lot of TV, right? Even though we want to do this adventure thing. Yeah, a lot of YouTube. A lot of movies, a lot of Netflix.
Streaming.
We definitely use the TV as our relaxation at night. We don't watch it all day long.
No.
We don't have cable. We just do streaming with Netflix or whatever, but we like to just watch in the evenings. But we like to be comfortable doing it. And one thing that we didn't like was the TV just either being in the front of the RV, like you had to stick your neck up and look way high because it's above the windshield.
Right. Or the side. I cannot stand when they put the sofa in the front and the TV is to the side, so you're constantly hurting your neck.
Yeah.
And even if you laid down, if somebody else wants to sit on the couch, that's not very practical.
Like on the other side of the dining table. I mean, who watches TV like that? I don't watch TV like that.
I don't either.
Turn sideways. And
I don't like that at all.
we actually walked in a lot of RVs and motorhomes that were set up like that, and we walked right back out. So that was definitely a must-have for us.
Oh, yeah.
And the next was, and this is probably not on most people's list, but I like the idea of an aqua hot. So what an aqua hot is, so an RV has kind of most RVs have a standard furnace that are like a house, but it's much, much smaller, typically powered by propane. So you have a very limited capacity of hot water. And the advantage to aqua hot or any of the continuous heating systems is it has water that is infinite. As long as you have the diesel burner on, you can take a shower as long as you want. And as long as you're hooked up to water and your gray tank open, you basically can take an infinite shower just like a house.
Very nice.
That's very nice, yeah. And for boondock and everything, it's a different animal, but the thought of aqua hot and some of the advantages it brought, including heated floors in some motorhomes, that was a big thing. And that actually made it harder to get a RV instead of a motorhome because aqua hot is typically just in motorhomes. So the next thing was towing. We had a 2019
Jeep Wrangler
Yep.
Rubicon.
Christy had that as her daily commute vehicle, which happened to be a nice vehicle for us to flat tow if we went the motorhome route. If we went the RV route, then it'd be different. But we decided that by this time we were going the motorhome route. So whatever RV we got had to be able to pull a Jeep. So we were looking for at least a 10,000 pound tow rating. And that was just kind of a must have because we do not, a lot of people I think overweight their trailers and overweight what they pull. We do not want to be in that boat. We want to have enough power and capacity to do things safely. So the next thing is having a bath and a half. So it sounds a little excessive for trying to downsize and live simply, but it turns out a bath and a half actually is a huge advantage. When you have people over, you don't have to share your master bath.
Right.
We considered in the future to get a compost toilet, and we could switch out one of them, and then when we were in boondock mode, use the compost toilet, and when we had hookups, we could use our main toilet in the back, and that seemed like a really good thing to have. So the next thing is having an all-electric coach. We like the idea of not having to carry propane because we already are carrying diesel on a coach as well as water and all the other things. Having an all-electric just seemed to simplify things to us, which actually cut down the amount of coach options we had, but we like that idea. And then we'd have to get propane from different places. You know, we could just get diesel and use diesel for whatever we needed. Although we do carry a propane tank for our grilling, but that's a small tank. It's not that big a deal. So there's a couple other things that were on our nice have list, right?
Right. Like the induction cooktop. I really love cooking on that. There's only 2 burners, but for me, I mean, if I need to boil some water, or I usually cook breakfast, eggs. We still have a microwave with a convection oven, which is nice, so I can heat oatmeal or anything up.
So lastly, we had a couple other nice to haves, which now that we've been full time for 6 months, actually are probably must haves. And the first is a dishwasher.
Yeah, I really like having a dishwasher. We had one in our home, so and I don't mind doing the dishes, but it is convenient to have a dishwasher in the coach.
You would think a smaller dishwasher like this would not be as useful as having a full-size dishwasher from a house, but it's great.
It's been
actually.
good.
Yeah.
It's been really good.
Yeah, we don't put everything in it, but
No.
2 or 3 days we run this thing and it does its job and it's done.
It
And
doesn't use a lot of water.
Yeah, no, not at all. And then the other thing was a washer dryer was on our nice to have list. I think now that we have it, it would be on our must have list.
Yes.
For sure.
It's nice not to have to go to the laundromat, and most campgrounds have laundry facilities. Thank you.
Yeah.
And but it's nice just to go back to the back of the coach. I can run it. It's located in the back of the coach in our master bath. So that's not bad. If I run it during the day, I don't even notice it. And then at night, dry the clothes, and it doesn't bother us at all.
We're probably saving money, right? I know a lot of RVers, they don't want the extra weight and space of a washer dryer, but even a big laundromat where they have big units, you still got to go, and you may have to do it every 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, but
That adds up.
yeah, it's a lot of money and a lot of hassle. So we like having the washer dryer.
Oh, yeah.
And the final thing, this kind of thing I wanted, was a side radiator. And the nicer coaches typically have these, and it makes it so much easier to get access to the engine on the back, and it does a better job of cooling the engine. So just from a longevity standpoint, that seemed like a nice feature if we could get it. So guess what? We put this list together and we started hitting the RV shows, talked to different dealers, went to National Indoor RV, went to the Tampa
Lazy Days.
at Tampa, and spent early 2019 looking at things. And the main thing was we spent a lot of time looking at RV Trader, right, and RVT.com. Many nights, yeah. So what would happen was I would look at coaches, I'd find something that kind of fit our criteria and was in our price range, which we were kind of all over the board on price because these things are expensive. But I would show the latest ones I'd find, and I'd show them to Christy and go, what do you think of this one? What do you think of this one? And we looked at a lot of different things and almost found what we thought we wanted at Lazy Days. It was a Winnebago Grand Tour.
Yeah,
And it was
nice.
pretty. It was real nice. We'll show you a couple pictures of it here. But then we found the summer of 2019, a coach showed up, and we were actually in Ohio visiting my parents, and it showed up on RV Trader, and the price was pretty decent. I'm like, this is a nice coach, we should go look at it. And she's like, okay. And it was like an hour away from where we were staying, and we forgot about it. We just completely forgot because we were busy with family. I went back to Atlanta, and then a few weeks later, that same RV showed up again in RV Trader, and the price had dropped again. And I called the owner, and just over the phone, I said, well, will you take this? And which was another $15,000 off. And he's like, yeah, I think I will. You sound like a really nice guy. And it turned out we flew up to Port Clinton, Ohio, spent 2 days in that thing?
Yeah.
And looked it over, didn't know what we were doing, never driven one in our lives. And we bought a 2015 Entegra Cornerstone. And it meets almost all our criteria.
It does.
Yeah.
I love it.
We drove this thing back from Ohio in August of 2019. Never have driven one before. We drove it at night through Ohio to Cincinnati that night. And even Christy drove it.
I did.
Yeah.
I wanted to drive.
You
I
drove
need
down,
to know how to drive it, so I wanted to go ahead, and I guess I did.
Yeah, you did. And it so far so good. This thing's huge. There's no doubt about it. This is a big coach. It's 45 foot long.
Yes.
Tag axle, 600 horsepower. It's a nice coach. It's very nice.
I love it.
Yeah, moving day is a little stressful because it's so big, but once it's parked, and it turns out we have been parked here in Florida for many months thanks to the pandemic, but it's like a small apartment.
It
It's
is.
really nice. So we've really enjoyed our coach so far. So we bought our coach actually way before the pandemic and had to put it in storage because we didn't know how long it was going to take for us to finally get on the road. But one thing we did know is we wanted to put a solar system on. We had seen a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of RVers said, you need to have a solar system to make it easier to boondock, to park without connections and to generally be in a place where you don't have to run your generator continuously. And this coach, the good thing about it is it's got a lot of nice things. The bad thing is it is a power hog. It has a 12.5 kilowatt generator, Onan, and it works great, but it's loud and sucks a lot of diesel when it's running. So one of the first things we did is put a solar system on our coach. And what we did is put 2,680 watts of solar on the roof with a 14 kilowatt lithium battery pack. And so far, we haven't actually needed to use it a ton, but it's been nice when we do drive. We can run our air conditioners without running the generators. We can do pretty much anything on the coach that we want to do with our solar system. And it was crazy putting it up on the roof. The panels are residential panels, so we used our pickup truck and a ladder, and I had to hold each panel, and then Christy pulled on it with a rope to get it up on the roof.
And we just pulled them up.
Yeah, we pulled them all up, and it was, I would not recommend it unless you know what you're doing and you have some electrical background, because it's a fairly complex thing to do. You're probably better off paying someone to actually do it. But we generally are very happy with it.
Oh, yes.
And it survived the tropical storm that hit Tampa was that December, November?
It was.
I think it was November.
Yeah.
And so far, no problem. So the solar has been great.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of 2019, we finished most of the solar system, and now it was time to start the downsizing. I was actually working full time, but unexpectedly got laid off in December. And that actually was a blessing in disguise, because we needed that full time, both of us, to downsize the house, get the house ready to sell, and downsize all our possessions to squeeze into our 45-foot motorhome. And it took us how long?
Oh,
10 months, 11 months?
At least.
Yeah, we closed on the house. So we started January 1st, 2020. We closed on October 23rd, 2020.
Yep.
And the pandemic slowed things down, but it was we were working it was a
Every day.
full-time job plus to get rid of everything. We realized how much junk we had. We had way too much stuff. And every time we got rid of something, it was exciting. Talk about,
It didn't even help that we had a 4-car garage.
yeah, it was not good. We had a garage full of junk. It took a long time to get rid of all the cars, the boats, the motorcycles, the electronics equipment, stuff that I look back and like, why do I still have this? And it still has some value, and I should have sold it years ago.
Oh, yeah.
GoPros and cameras and everything. So it was a process. So finally, in summer 2020, we got to the point where the house was on the market, and during a pandemic, it turns out that housing prices actually went up because people were scared and people didn't want to sell their houses, and there was a seller's market. So we got very fortunate to sell our house for a premium. But at the same time, it took 3 contracts, including one. The first one fell through at the very last moment. I was literally loading up the bottom of the RV, and we were leaving, I think, the next day or 2 days from then, and it fell through.
Yep.
And that turned out to be a blessing too, because
Yeah, it did.
yeah, we had another 2 months, I think, till
Mhm.
we closed.
Yes.
And I don't know how we would have got out the door without having those extra 2 months, because we are, as we said, working nonstop to get rid of the last final things. When you think it's all gone, it's not. There's always more things to go. And it's just, when you sell a house and you're not moving into another house, you can't just delay getting rid of stuff. You either got to junk it or sell it. So it was a lot of work.
We finally hit the road in October of 2020. We stayed at a few Passport America campgrounds along the way. We are now in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, that Passport America actually worked out really well, didn't it?
It did.
We were probably $20 a night at some of these different campgrounds and made our way here. And now we've been at Bay Bayou RV Resort since November 1st, I think. So now 4 months. And we're actually ready to move on.
Yes.
We're here for the season. Thanks to the pandemic, we'd actually planned to go to Quartzsite, but in December, we really, given that the cases just went out of control, I was very concerned that we would be traveling between here and Arizona and things would really lock down and we'd have nowhere to live, which, that's, I can understand that. People are scared with everything that's been happening. But we decided to get a seasonal rate here at Bay Bayou, which turned out to be a great.
Really nice.
Yeah, Bay Bayou is awesome. And we've really enjoyed being here in Tampa, Clearwater, and going to the beach and hikes and enjoying our time here. But we're moving on to Creek Fire in, when are we going?
On April 1st.
Yep.
We hope you like our story and it may inspire you to live your dream, whatever that may be.
We're planning to create a lot more content in the future, including videos and articles and other things. So make sure you follow us on social media, check out our blog, the link's below, and make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for future content.
We hope you join us.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.